Okay. Mr. Huffman, I think way off, so he should be here in just a few minutes. The first two items, and the first item, Mr. Bateman has to leave in a few minutes, but is coming back to you from the previous work session as we continue to work on the water and sewer utility extension policy. And Mr. Ward had made a recommendation to go back in and have proposed ordinance change based on what we talked about. So, Mr. Bateman?
Thank you, Harold, Mr. Council, Mr. Mayor. What we looked at, and Mr. Ward pointed out, we really need an ordinance change to try to do anything different about question water and sewer. What we've presented to you for consideration is Section 3 to the existing 3730, which in effect puts into ordinance form essential part of the policy that we talked about, to allow the council to grant the authority to the city manager to give these consents where people file necessary paperwork in according form, but only for certain uses, which are existing lots, existing structures, no, or it points out, no mobile home parks, no multi-family structures, no proposed subdivisions of commercial, industrial, multi-tenant uses. All those continue to have to come to the council before we can do anything about it. The routine stuff, still have to do the paperwork, still have to make the various requests that we send to the council after we might go ahead and fix the decision. We think that the problem is going to be more pressing than the ability to say water around the connector up in our philosophy. I think there are a number of requests in there. So that's for your consideration.
Questions or comments to Mr. Bateman? Yes.
I've got one suggestion. Charles was at proposed subdivisions. I'd like to add existing and proposed.
Yeah, the only, yeah, let me just make one comment about that. If we have, you may have a water line, for example, let's talk about McIntosh, but the thing out of Highway 7. That's a subdivision, it's an existing subdivision. It has our water lines in there, and we've already made deals with them to allow those people to call.
Right.
So we struggle with the same thing you're talking about.
In that case, if it's a subdivision, some kind of limit, I'd like to see it come back to us. But, you know, if the others are in agreement with that, that's fine. What I had in mind was that you would have isolated, you know, lots here and there,
right.
Request circles, and that's fine, no multi-unit. But when you have a whole subdivision, that's the existing subdivision, that's another matter. So anyway,
I agree with that, and that's how we try to eliminate somebody coming in with an existing subdivision, try to get service to it, or a future. And our thinking was that, and Larry, you helping with this, because you and I had this discussion. We first put in the word just subdivisions, period. Without making any reference whether it was existing or future, we just put subdivisions in. And then we became caught up in the debate about would that prevent us from giving service to somebody who has a line in front of their house and happens to be in a subdivision, but it's just an individual lot. So that's the semantics issues we're trying to look through.
If any rush on this, in other words, maybe you can convince me or I can convince you.
I think between the two of us, we can come up with some legal language that will do what I think we both want to do.
I agree with that, make a motion for that. Comments on that? Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with it.
All right, let you two get together. Is there any rush here, Harold?
We got 2 or 3 instances waiting, but with those two intelligence, we probably should give it some kind of compromise pretty soon, I would think, do we not?
Yeah, it'll be certainly before Christmas.
Yeah. Maybe before I can retire with it. Yeah.
We'll work on that, Harold.
We'll get it. Yeah.
All right.
I think we could probably get it to the second week of this month.
I will say that Mr. Bateman did mention the 87 line, that part of that approval has been done by the state. We received information today, request today from the mayor of Ossipee concerning the local government commission has asked for the rates we'll be charging Ossipee, and also an interesting question. It's a 20-year proposed agreement, and what happens after 20 years? And it's like all of our agreements can be negotiated at that particular point in time and going forward. And we've got some information to them, and then they'll be going forward.
With a new agreement, is that what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. The part of the loan process or the grant process, the local government commission had to approve it.
Right.
So with the new agreement, the proposed agreement is a 20-year term to the Ossipee
Right.
agreement. And they want to know after 20 years what would happen. And we normally just contact the municipality and negotiate an extension at the appropriate time at the end of that 20 years.
Okay.
Within a year. So that's where we're on now. If we could, Shauna, since we got people from out of town, can we move you guys up? Be better.
Back in January, I made a brief presentation to you all about the regional assessment of fair housing that the city would be participating in. We have an MOU with the city of High Point, Greensboro, and the Surrey Home Consortium to participate in that. And as a recipient of federal funds, we each year permanently further fair housing. So this project that we're working with Mulligan and Lyman on will be satisfying that requirement for our CDBG program. So tonight we have Marjorie Williams from that consulting firm that will be presenting a brief overview of the program and what we can expect over the next 7 months.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Marjorie Williams, and I'm a principal with the firm of Mullen and Lonergan Associates in Pittsburgh. And as Shauna said, we've been contracted to assist in the preparation of the assessment of fair housing. This is a follow-up to the fair housing and equity assessment that was initiated about 18 months ago. And so while that document was primarily a data analysis document, this one will be a follow-up document. So it will include the identification of impediments in any of the policies that the City of Burlington has regarding housing, and then an action plan. So there will be listed recommended steps that the city could take to implement and eliminate the impediments. So just to give you a little bit of background information, each year the City of Burlington submits its annual plan to HUD, and that plan spells out how it will invest its community development block grant and home funds. And as part of that application, as part of that annual plan, there's a series of certifications. And one of those certifications says that the City of Burlington will certifies that it will affirmatively further fair housing. And what that means is that the city will, one, prepare this assessment of fair housing, and it will identify impediments to fair housing, and then it will keep record of all of the actions that it takes to eliminate the impediments to fair housing choice. And so that's what this document is helping you to do, which is basically remain in compliance with your HUD programs to continue receiving community development block grant funds and home funds. So we're in town today, tomorrow, and Wednesday morning conducting stakeholder interviews. I've passed around a very brief overview of the process for our council members, and we will take a lot of the information that we receive, and then we will look at the policies that touch on housing anywhere in the city. So for example, the comprehensive plan, the zoning ordinance, any code enforcement that the city undertakes. We will also look at home mortgage data, which was analyzed previously in the fair housing and equity assessment, and in where the city invests its funds in terms of capital investments, capital improvements across the city. Where are these being located versus where do the low and moderate income neighborhoods exist within the city of Burlington. So we're doing this in Burlington, we're doing it in High Point, we're also doing it in Greensboro, and then also a 4-county region that receives home funds in the Surrey County area. We will be providing an interim draft report in April, And we will also be providing them the final document in sometime in June. There will be a couple of online surveys that will be part of the process. One for municipal leaders, primarily elected leaders, city managers, and the like, and then also one for stakeholders, those that we have interviewed as well as others that we have identified but have not been able to interview. And we'll use their feedback as part of our analysis for the document. Does anyone have any questions?
What about our Chodo levy part of the interview process?
Yes, they will be coming, I think, on Wednesday. Alamance County Community Services.
Any other questions?
Sean, you got anything to add?
No, we're just really excited and looking forward to the report. Our last one, was completed in 2010, so we're gonna have to, we would have to have an update regardless. So, HUD's requested that, our 2010 report be updated through the Office of Fair Housing. So this is gonna meet that requirement for the upcoming year.
And in reference to funding levels next year, we don't know, but our projections are.
About the same as they were last year. We should receive notification in March.
Which was up compared to what we thought at the beginning, right?
Yes, it was up from what we thought it was gonna be at the beginning. We were kind of running on a 15 to 20% reduction last year, but we were about the same.
But one quick question,
Yes.
when is the final report due now?
June.
June, and then it'll be completely finalized August, I think.
Right,
Yeah.
and there'll be a time for public meetings, I think sometime maybe in August, and then I'll be coming back to the city council probably in September, I think we've tentatively said that.
Be back here.
Yes.
Yes.
Any other comments, guys? Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Harold?
At the February work session, Amy and staff began discussion concerning the ordinance for food truck. It's not really a revision, it's establishing an ordinance or policy based on the use of food trucks. And there was a significant amount of discussion, and if I recall correctly, you guys had asked us to come back with some revisions of that and maybe a better explanation of what we're attempting to do. So, Amy?
Thank you. We have a few revisions to what we presented last time. They're fairly minor. We've gone over the insurance and the annual application fee, which will be $100, in addition to the privilege license, which will be a peddler's. This whole thing is classified under peddlers. We are going to require submission of all their proof of liability, insurance, health department inspections, everything when they go upstairs to get their permit. We have slightly adjusted the requirements for distancing. We have 100 feet required from schools, churches, and cemeteries. And we have 75 feet as a requirement from the front door of any existing restaurant, a brick and mortar restaurant, during their business hours. We still have the parking requirements in place, still just one per block. Push carts cannot be on city streets unless they've been closed for an event.
Why 75 feet versus 100?
Well, 100 feet is the distancing from schools and churches and cemeteries. 75 feet is kind of an average. It's a little higher than a lot of cities do. Most cities use 50 feet. Some use 25, some use 100, but most of them use 50. But we measured it out on Google Maps, and we were trying to get a good balance so that the brick and mortar restaurants wouldn't get too upset, and it seems like that's a pretty good distance for them. They seem to be happy with.
Have we had any communication with existing brick and mortar facilities in the city?
Yes. Ann Morris with the downtown organization went and spoke with the business owners, and they were fairly positive about it. They liked having those restrictions in place.
The original proposal was 50 feet, and went from 50 to 75 feet since the last meeting.
And you said that in your notes, you said a fee of $100?
Yes, an
Plus,
annual fee.
An annual fee is $100 plus the peddler's fee?
Yes, sir.
And what is that? Is that subject to the privilege license in reference to Harold?
Yes, well, similar, you put those two together, yeah.
Is that subject to be changed as well?
Well, depends on what we do, what happens with privilege license in the state legislature.
Right. Okay. So my question again, I repeat myself. We have had communication with existing
Yes,
brick
sir.
and mortar places, and they're telling us that everything's good with those guys.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You said one per block?
One per block. That includes both sides of the street. It's considered one block.
Yeah.
Now, this is only doing, like a regular day.
Right.
And if there's a festival or an event where the streets are blocked off, then that changes.
Right. Then you can have as many as you want. They can be in the middle of the street. They can have tables and chairs out.
Okay.
But we're trying to keep that down. We don't have a whole lot of food trucks coming downtown right now. And this is fluid. We can adjust it as the popularity grows.
Okay.
Questions, guys?
One question, Amy. Who will be administering this ordinance?
It will be, we have written it, it will be, the monies and everything taken upstairs in tax. And then as far as any enforcement goes, this is under peddlers, and that falls under the police department.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
I'm just thankful you're finished eating.
I guess I'll get a few new cops then.
Not very many of them.
In a cotton food truck, I reckon.
Any other questions for Amy? You good? Thank you, Amy. Is this something, let me back up a second. Is this something that needs to be on the agenda for tomorrow night, or we wait to the second meeting in March?
We could wait a second meeting in March.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Next, Eric.
As I indicated, again, in the February work session, we have, are continuing to deal with a significant more special event request, which requires that various aspects of city activity, from potentially blocking streets to using public works to parks and recreation activity to public safety involvement. So as a staff, in the last 60 days, we've been working on a policy, but really more of an application process, how we would handle these events, and then how it can be monitored and tracked in reference to what goes on. So we want these events to be successful. And often people who ask to do this, they really mean well, they really don't have much experience in the area. And some issues do come up at various times. We're trying to guard against that. So I've asked Recreation to kind of lead this. We have met with representatives of Public Works, police. We've had Charles has been involved from the legal side. We've had Frank involved from the collection side. Peggy has been involved working with liability to put this particular policy together or package together. So I think you should have got that in the package. It's about a 15-page document, I believe. So Lisa Wolf's here tonight to review this and kind of give us kind of where we came from and hopefully where we're going to go with this.
Thank you, Harold. Thank you all for letting us present what we feel is a pretty good representation of where we want to go in the city when it comes to event requests. As many of you all know, we have numerous requests on an annual basis. It could be anything from United Way functions to Taste of Alamance to a neighborhood cookout. And we felt like this document, with, like Harold said, it was a great collaboration of a lot of our staff. Reed Metters from police, Chief, thank you. Peggy, Charles, and Mary Fawcett over here next to Tony. And let me introduce to you Morgan Lassiter. Morgan is in the Special Events Division too. Some of you all probably know her mom. Her mom is Lynn Cowan, so she's been involved in the city in different aspects of planning in previous years. But anyway, moving forward, we came up with this document. Now it's not finalized at this point, but we feel like it's a pretty good representation. So, I don't know, Harold, do you want me to go through page by page, or just?
I just hit highlights.
Highlights.
We call it a quick overview, look at
I got you, I got you. Well, hopefully you had time to take a look at it and kind of review it. It's broken down into these different sections. It's basically streets request for street closings, request event guidelines that have events with alcohol involved, the insurance requirements, and then Reed was very instrumental in helping us work through the alcohol management through the recommendations from the local agency commissions, and then we have the actual application. So basically, it goes through the whole process of how to go about street closings. Everything, of course, per your decision would be a council approval for a large event. Small neighborhood streets would remain at the discretion of the city manager's office. All of this will be funneled through our department. So, for instance, in Milwaukee here, we get a phone call from Red Cross wanting to do the Taste of Alamance. The phone call would come to me, or it might come to Harold's office first and then funnel down to me. We will walk them through the process to help them make sure all these bases are covered across the board. Pretty straightforward. This page came from Alan Crouch regarding the insurance requirements for the city when it comes to hosting an event with alcohol. And we'll add a couple little things here and there that tell you it takes you through the process of the alcohol management. This is all very detailed. It goes as far as saying you can only dispense by a certain ounce of cup, no open glass containers, the smart serving through the ABC Commission for anybody that's hosting the event or serving. And then it goes into the actual application process. So you've got the main page of the application. You have festival, celebration, procession, march, run, exhibits. So it's broken down because we have everything from 5K runs, which are in numerous categories. And at the top, we have a checklist where we've got various people who need to know about these events. So we'll be clearing this through police, fire, and public works, as well as anybody else that we feel like once we get through the process are important to have a role in, or at least be aware of what's going on. I don't know if you want me to. Does anybody have any questions so far about where we're going with this, or?
What's your timeframe, Lisa, you want?
Well, I mean, I think that's probably open for discussion. I think I feel like we're pretty close. Peggy and I had a conversation today. We met with Harold and Charles last Wednesday to go through some finalization of some of the legal phrasing and things in it. But Harold, what would you say of this?
Well, the council will certainly probably need to review this. We can certainly go 2 weeks to a month if we need to. You want to go through this?
I'd like to have that because, I mean, I've been through it, and I like the application. I mean, that's a lot of work, but, having been around here, I know, I mean, this is good to have all this down. Whereas before, it was just on a piecemeal, wasn't it?
Right. Case by case basis.
What?
It was a case by case basis usually.
This, it's really good because, I mean, we needed it for some time, but I just want to look back through it if we have a little time.
Yeah, my question, Lisa, is, say if say an example, if I wanted my neighborhood watch group to use the Eva Baker area on Main Street, and would my group have to fill this out, or?
Not necessarily. Well, it depends on what your event's going to be, I guess. I mean, if you're closing streets, you're going to have.
No, just a picnic.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a picnic in the park.
Yeah.
No, that
Instead
would
of
just be
doing
a
it in the
normal
neighborhood.
reservation process.
Yeah, instead of doing it in the neighborhood, just do it at the park. So this wouldn't apply. Okay.
I think staff can walk people through some of this and get through some of the more challenging parts, but as we have had more unusual requests, there are areas which I'm not sure we had the needed information on, or quite frankly, had the opportunity to sit down with the event promoter to get an understanding of who's going to do what, and especially if something occurred during the event itself, if power went down, if there's a problem with some utility, just how we would handle while the event was going on, so.
And just in reference to staffing, we, you know, and this is certainly, I guess, up for you guys to decide or lead us or guide us in the direction that you feel. We did have a discussion about whether or not it was important to have a staff person at these large events. Just for the very reason what Harold said in reference to the power goes down, who in the city needs to be called, if there's an emergency, those type of things. Now, of course, police are incorporated into this document, so there will be, you know, requirements that they have to meet that. In our fees and charges program right now that we have for the Recreation Parks Department, we do have a fee structure for large outdoor events that are in the parks. So we did discuss that a little bit, and that's really, I guess, up to you guys to lead us in the direction that you feel if there's a fee that should be affiliated with this.
But, quick question here, and I'll look at it, I'm gonna go back over it, but in terms of, you know, if there's any alcohol served, there would be, police will be there, right?
That's correct.
And that's all of these, not just
That's
large
correct.
events.
That's correct.
Okay, well, I want
Yep.
that sure.
Any other questions for Ms. Wolf?
Feel free to, I mean, if you have any other comments or questions, you know, just give me a call and we'll talk about it a little bit further.
Thank you, Ms. Wolf.
Yep.
Mr. Rowland?
In essence of this, there's been some conversation, obviously, Mr. Butler is the one who began this conversation, concerning some additional events downtown that, last year there was some, downtown area itself that was, had a number of well-attended events, and the challenge of putting events on in reference to blocking streets and so forth, and about where Parks and Recreation should be in this. So we've asked Tony and his staff to sit down, and they worked with Ann and Downtown Corporation to put down, to kind of give you an idea of what we're proposing for this coming summer and fall, in reference to some extension of downtown events as we hopefully continue to grow the downtown area.
Okay. So, I'm just gonna, oh gosh, this mouse is so sensitive. Can I use the keyboard more? You know, why are we doing this? We're in the event programming business. This will run through a couple of slides. We believe in downtown. We're good at what we do. We feel like, and moving forward, I feel like we all felt like we could work together in a collaborative effort. So our EPS, not our GPS, but our EPS, this kind of gives you, and this is on I don't know why, I mean, can you help me on your own first? Can you take it off of whatever it's doing? The mouse? Our history, you know, in downtown, let me go back one more slide. Right there, this slide. Yeah. That's on, I guess it's on, okay. So, I thought I had it all right there. There we go. There we go. Now I can stick the mouse button. Okay. All right, so let me get down to our EPS here. Back in the 80s, the Downtown Corporation came about basically through the Revitalization Program. You guys have heard the story before, North Carolina Main Street. Back then, there was maybe one event, the Key Coast Sun Festival, and maybe some other smaller events. 1990s to 2008, we began a collaborative effort back then of doing some joint programming, from the Sunset Rhythms concert to the July 4th event we started downtown, the Downtown Lights Up car shows, the Halloween parade, pumpkin carving contests, nonprofit events that go on an annual basis. And then, of course, at that time period, we also had the city's reinvestment in the Paramount Theater, as well as Menn Memorial Library. So we start to see a little bit of a change. Then we go into the 2008 to 2014, where we took the initiative to start really grasping more of the programs just within our department and offering those programs. And then where we are now, we met with and the Downtown Corporation, some of the board members, and came to the realization that, you know what, this needs to be a collaborative effort. Ann's out there promoting downtown economic development, and events go hand in hand, so we are together forming a collaboration and a partnership to continue the strength of events and additional programming. Now, as it stands, we have the Downtown Spooktacular Halloween, we have Active City Streets, which will be coming up here this spring, the musical chairs, the parade, Holiday Magic, which you all know was very successful, the Fourth Fridays, and all of the events at the theater. And what does it take to make it work? Well, it's not just recreation parks, it's not just the Downtown Corporation, it's the city, okay? And it's other divisions within the city. For instance, when we have an event, we're contacting Public Works in reference to numerous things, from sanitation to street barricades, to power requirements that we might need out on the streets, pull from poles if possible, as well as working with some of the businesses. I mean, LabCorp has worked collectively with us, especially at Dickens Christmas events, to allow us to pull some of their power from their facilities for these events. So it's a great effort. And then along with that also, we have public safety that's involved with our events. We've got to have police officers downtown, whether we're serving alcohol or whether it's just an event where streets are closed for the safety of the citizens. And in there. So here's a little bit of timeline of where we've come from and where we're going. Last year, Ann's group completed this, the 2013 community-wide survey, as you all know. Then, in March and May, they had the brainstorming sessions that were held downtown. I know a few of you council members attended those, and those were held at Sarah Ann Photography. I think there were 2 of them, right? And the results of those meetings, as well as the surveys, came to more nightlife and live music festivals, beautification, and then making it a dog-friendly community in the downtown area. And so now, this is where we are now. It's the winter of 2013, as you can tell from outside. And we're collaborating and planning events for downtown as we go forward. Now, you're probably going to wonder what these events are. Well, we didn't want to come right out and say, well, we're going to plan some event on April the 1st every year, or St. Patrick's Day event. We know that it's going to take some time and effort to put into it and get some input from the community as well. So at your direction, we basically are saying we're going to basically solicit continued public involvement in the planning process and make that a priority of the event planning. We're going to work together on the event planning for downtown with the BDC. As you said, you heard 2013 was a very successful year based on the survey feedback as well as the participation of people that were there at those events. And these 3 events were some of the key events, dog-friendly. We're going to continue to evaluate the existing events in cooperation with what's to come and new events. Foster, maintain the engaged downtown property and business owners. That's an important piece, we know. It's not just the property owners, but it's the business owners as well. Maintain the communication with all city departments so that we could all be on the same page. We need to know how many garbage cans need to be down there. As part of the special event manual, we also have sanitation things as far as restrooms, the number of restrooms that are going to be required or recommended. And then evaluate existing locations and facilities, so the depot, the parking lots, for future needs and demands for programming and services such as the Paramount Theater and the depot. What other areas out there that we can work together to improve either the location, the facility, etc. So this is what we want our events to generate: the buzz, the town talk, being energized, skinny, opportunities to be, the rumor rumble, and be engaged. Because if we don't, we're just kind of going on status quo. So this will just kind of go through a couple pictures of some of the events this past year. This was the Active City Streets event, CMX demonstrations, Bluetooth demonstrations. Ballet at the theater. Co-ops, events. Friday concert, and the diversity of programming that we have downtown, and opportunities. Any questions or comments?
If I could, this is I think the start of something that the council might want to consider long term is, certainly we believe that we can add to the number of events that people came down. If some of you all at the Christmas event had several people come up to me and said they saw people downtown that had lived here. The concept is simply that, is get as much diversified group as we can downtown and do a number of events. We've talked to Parks and Rec about the Paramount. Paramount's established in terms of performing arts use, and it was policy put forth in terms of reservations for major shows, and there's some challenges there, but certainly even theater, I think the use can be diversified from a speaking series to a number of different opportunities that hopefully can diversify the use of the theater. The Depot is an interesting building. The green area behind us is an interesting building. There's some opportunities if I think busted to maybe consider warrants and consideration about some structural changes there that might could produce a facility that would be a little bit more user friendly in terms of crowds. Where we could do some work out there. We have the property. That's the most important thing. And we got some base ideas on that, but things, we're certainly not ready to do anything about nature yet. But I believe this is a trend that's just certainly not here. As Ann has said, it's across the state and the country. It's downtown. We can say it's certainly a neutral site. It's not considered east or west. And there's I believe Matt in Wellesley was in the office today with their development, talking about their development on Front Street, which is continuing. We think there is some momentum there, but I think this would be certainly an opportunity for the city to help and aid that momentum with the existing businesses, and also just providing some opportunities for families of all ages and makeups to attend these functions.
I don't know how many of y'all went to the theater this weekend. I think Dave told me that. Joe, were you there? You went to see the show. Dave told me this morning that I think we had 2,900 people run through the theater as part of the show this weekend. Is that right, Mary? Mm-hmm. And you know, in our concept of thought process is when we renovated the Paramount Theater, the mission was that it was a multi-purpose facility, everything from local theatrical groups to programming from our side of things. There are some things that we're in the process of revisiting. For instance, when a theater group like the Gallery or the Children's Theater reserve the theater, they're reserving it 2 years in advance, up to 2 years in advance for a future date or a show. There's different components to that piece. Our understanding is it could be playwright requests. When you have to send off for playwrights, you have to give specific dates of those requests. So we're trying to work around some of those challenges and revisit the best way to handle that. We do have some ideas of some programming concepts, maybe, like Harold said, speaker session. One of the ideas is teaming up with the co-op and WUNC radio and do something related to a speaker series with maybe vintners and brewers, since the beer co-op's coming about. So we've got some good ideas floating around. It's just a matter of moving forward with them in the next few months. Some input.
So it's just for information?
This right here? Yeah, basically.
It is, and you'll probably see some events that take place this year.
Right, new additions.
We've been working on that, and they'll be coming forward. And then I think sometime during this year, we'll be talking to you about what might be done to some existing facilities downtown. Should we look at how maybe we can use the public space in a different manner to provide opportunities for different activities. Pretty neat part about downtown, if you notice the picture in front, you saw that one. It's a popular place for car shows. It really gives you a chance to bring a different group of people in almost. each event. And so we believe it's a real opportunity.
Well, I think that for the ones of us that were running in the election this time, I think that was a topic of conversation of downtown and the revitalization of downtown. This is a good start, moving in the right direction, and hopefully we can continue and gain some momentum and do more than less. So we appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With the inclement weather, we're gonna get through the record time in 90 years. Get you out before it's dark.
Thank you.
Some other functions. Each work session, we have a report made by department, and so far we've done all internal operations. So tonight, Aaron Noble and some of his staff members are here from Human Resources tonight to help to give you an overview of what's involved in that operation. Aaron?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm delighted to be with you this evening to talk to you a little bit about what we do in human resources. Pleased to have with me this evening and participating in this discussion. Lee Shore, who is one of our HR specialists, Quentin Baker, who's our safety director, and then Sheila Trader, as you all know, who's our occupational health nurse. So we will not delay this any longer than we have to, because we know we all need to do. But our HR staff pretty much consists of the following individuals, in addition to Terry Taylor, our other HR specialist, and Brenda Page, who's our part-time office assistant. So what is human resources? Basically, it's management of processes of an organization's workforce, involving attraction, selection, and training, reward of employees, providing training for employees to fulfill their potential and also to meet the organization's needs, and also to ensure the organization is in compliance with all federal and state employment and labor laws. How do we go about finding good people? Well, there are a myriad of sources that we use. Out in our job listing, our website. We still maintain a phone line where people can call in and get a vocal announcement of the jobs we have available. It's updated every Monday. We also post our positions in the municipal annex. Still use the local newspaper that, that's faded to a great degree in the employment recruitment process, but still it's a tool. Professional associations and also online job hunting sites such as Monster and what have you. This is the trend of the applications that we received in HR, and you can see that tends to be going down, and that mirrors findings by the U.S. Department of Labor, which hopefully indicates that our economy is getting a little bit better, people are finding other employment opportunities, and we're not getting as many people coming to apply for us as we once did. Plus the fact, we're very fortunate that for the most part, employees tend to come to the city and stay for a relatively long period of time. So that somewhat makes us an employer of choice. As far as what we do with each application when we receive it, we log it for EEOC purposes, and we maintain each application for a period of 5 years. Once an applicant is chosen, we run background and reference checks. Full-time and some part-time employees are required to have a physical as a requirement of pre-employment process for the job. Then we complete the federal I-9 form once the individual is hired. Now, applicants who are not chosen, either they are notified in writing of their status, or in some situations, and normally this is the case for individuals who actually interview for the position, they will receive a phone call notifying them of their status.
Okay, so how many workers do we have? Currently, we have 554 full-time employees, 482 part-time employees, and that does fluctuate slightly throughout the year, but roughly we operate a little over 1,000 employees throughout the year. Every single one of these employees is served by the Human Resources Department. Now, we put in your handout packet a graph that indicates the number of full-time and part-time employees broken down by department, so that you could get an idea of the makeup of each department. As you can see, recreation has a very large part-time employee to full-time employee ratio. HR is also responsible for policy and record keeping. We maintain and administer all personnel policy, and we provide copies of this policy to all employees. When policies are added or updated, we do a training or retraining of all staff on the new employees, so we're all working off the same policy. We also keep personnel files in HR for every single employee that contains pertinent information about the employee's work history here at the city. We are very proprietary about that information, and those records do not leave our office. However, we do get requests for public information from the media and the public, and we do release anything that is covered under the state sunshine laws upon request. We do get some from the media, but we get a lot from other municipalities who are looking for organization information, trying to see where they are in comparison to other cities their size, or maybe they're adding a position that we have, and they kind of want to see what is that job description, what do we pay those people. And then we are also responsible for annual reports to different agencies, both federal and state. Some HR services we provide to departments and employees is a new hire orientation once a month. All pay increases and garnishments for taxes or child support, those are all keyed in HR. We administer all these performance appraisals as far as the paperwork for every full-time employee. We assist department heads with discipline, conflict, and grievance issues. And of course, we investigate all sexual harassment and discrimination claims. We assist with FMLA, the administration of it, and tracking that time. And then on July 1st of every year, we go in and we adjust any overages that people have as far as their paid leave goes. We assist with the employee picnic and the service awards every May, and then in conjunction with occupational health, we do a health fair every October at Fairchild.
As far as career development is concerned, we do have a tuition assistance program which has been in place with the city since probably the early 90s. Currently, we pay $300 of the employee's tuition costs straight up. Then there's a 50-50 match for all additional expenses, all tuition related, until the city reaches a maximum payout of $900. And as far as the skills development curriculum, this is something I've discussed briefly with Harold, which hopefully we can continue to explore and put in place maybe by the start of the new budget year. But with the number of employees that we have who are retirement eligible continuing to grow, we could easily see a board and individuals ready to move up to positions of greater responsibility. So what we like to do is actually put together a skills development curriculum where we would provide high potential employees with supervisory skills to prepare them for the next position in line for them. A key piece of that is helping to develop their writing skills. In a lot of the employment literature, one of the major deficiencies in managers today is their ability to write effectively, so we really want to help them address those issues. And then partner with those agencies in the community that we can, such as Alamance Community College, helping some of our employees who do not have a high school diploma or the GED to attain that, and continue to work with ACC on their various certificate programs.
HR also publishes 2 newsletters for employees. We have the Wellness Connection, which is published bi-monthly for the Wellness Committee, and we have Human Resources News, which is published quarterly for the HR department. And these are emailed to all city employees and placed on the intranet. We also have 2 deferred compensation plans that city employees can pay into voluntarily. We can take out a good check, whatever they choose, and we send it to Prudential or ICMA for the 457. And when they want that to increase or decrease or stop or whatever, they come to HR and we help them with that, fill out that paperwork and get that done. And then we assist retiring employees in filing for retirement benefits through the state. And now we will turn it over to Sheila Traylor.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I will be very brief because I know everybody wants to get out of here and home on time. I just wanted to talk to you very briefly about our clinic. As you can see, our physician is Dr. James Strickland. He works with us about 25 hours per week. I am Sheila Traylor. I'm a registered nurse certified in occupational medicine. We have Ann Dobbins, who is a registered nurse contract from Alamance Regional Medical Center, and Allie Fetter, who is a registered medical assistant who helps us with things in our clinic. We have a part-time receptionist, Kristen Keck. I won't read that to you, but occupational medicine is a specialty services that focuses on prevention, promotion, and restoration of health. In our clinic, we see full-time employees and covered spouses on our insurance. We see retirees that are covered on our insurance, plus their covered spouses. all part-time employees and dependents ages 18 to 26. So that means that just about every single person who has been at the City of Burlington has come through our clinic at some time or another. Some of the things we do in our clinic, we do complete physicals for our folks. We did approximately 653 of those last year. In addition to the office visits that we have, which can range from chest pain to sinus infections to strep throat. We deal with illness, injury prevention. We do all types of testing in our office, like, let's see, we do EKGs, we do hearing testing, we do pulmonary function testing, just to name a couple of those. Labs, we do about, last year we did approximately 1,200 different types of labs in our office. As you can see, our clinic visits have gone up, and this past year we did 4,895 face-to-face visits in our clinic. That does not count the number of phone calls that we triage and handle over the telephone, nor the emails that we respond to. These are the areas we focus on with managed care, and you can see how we've done pretty well and increased over this last year, except for one area with the tobacco cessation. So we're working very, very hard on that to try to make that a little bit better. I would like to say that approximately 35% of our population has hypertension, 25% has issues with cholesterol, approximately 35% are overweight or obese, 5% have some issue with their blood sugars, and about 25% of our population use tobacco in some sort of form. So that means we've still got a lot of work to do. We've come very far, but we've got a long way to go. Some additional services we deal with. We assist HR with FMLA management. We handle all the workers' compensation management in our office. We are very active and continue to be active with our wellness activities and our wellness council. We follow disability management. We work very closely with safety and environmental health, and we do quite a bit of education, and that varies greatly, one-on-one and in instructional classes. And I will just leave you with this quote from the CDC, and just remember, workplace health programs lead to change, and change leads to effect in the bottom line. So that's all I have to say. And with that, I'll turn it over to Quentin Baker.
Thank you, Sheila. Good evening, Council. I'm Quentin Baker, Safety Director here with the City of Burlington. One thing that I noticed Lisa had in her presentation, she had public safety. Police department, that's public safety. Well, what I do is occupational safety. Two separate areas here. This is a brief skeleton of what I do. Of course, we cross-train a lot, but some of the things I do, policy and procedure development. I provide a service, if you will, by providing mock OSHA inspections through all the city facilities. I've spent enough time with compliance officers over the years that I can pull a few of those off. I provide project and plan reviews for engineering, water resources, water sewer, screening contractors, that sort of thing. Here with the city, we have a multi-tier safety program, safety committee program. Provide incident investigations for some of the more severe incidents we have. Employee training. We all have to do some training here and there. OSHA actually requires us to provide certain amounts of training, whether it be a one-time or an annual or triannual type trainings. To go along with those trainings, I develop lesson plans. That way, if somebody else needs to provide the training to their people, I'm not available or whatever, then it's, you basically pick up a packet, PowerPoint, a little bit of knowledge, and run with it. Record keeping. We all hate record keeping, but I have a lot of record keeping to do, along with the OSHA 300 logs and the summaries, and then all the reports and submittals that I have to do, both state and federal. So that kind of goes along with the fun part of my job, if you will. I mentioned safety committees. We have that multi-tier structure, which we have as a governance group or a guidance group, we have a central safety committee. Well, what does that do for us? That basically provides an outlet for this lower departmental or divisional safety committees to submit information up to and up through these committees. And sometimes it goes back the other way in reverse as well. But these meetings generally occur once a month. We have the Central Safety Committee over there in Nolan's Public Works Conference Room. We have it the second Tuesday of every month at 10 o'clock in the morning. If you got nothing better to do, we'd love to have you come out. These departmental safety committees, they're everywhere. Public Works has one, police has one. We have one over here in this building. Rather than having individual departments, the divisions, we all kind of get together and have one committee for this building. But that's pretty much how the safety committee structure works. Now, to kind of wind it all up, where have we been? What are we able to pull off? Really and truthfully, in the last 4 or 5 years, we've accomplished about a 30% reduction in OSHA recordable injuries and illness cases, with a 17% increase in total number of employees. So employee numbers have gone up, injuries, illnesses have gone down. That's very good. We generally average pretty close to about 1,000 contact hours every year, providing training, safety-related training. So some of it is individual coaching, but most of it's in a classroom setting type of thing. I got a email from Eric Hilton just yesterday wanting to set up your training, so Nolan's for your year there. Safety policies, training presentations. Thanks to Rachel back there, we've got them up on the website. I develop them, send them to her, and she graciously uploads them there. And one interesting thing here, and one of our insurance carriers have provided this one here. We're pretty much 25%. We're in the lower 25% little quadrant of their graph of injury and illness cases for both frequency and severity among cities our size. It's pretty good to be in that bottom corner there. So, without any other questions or comments, I'd like to leave it to Aaron to close it up for us.
Okay, so just in summation, we think that this quote from Lee October pretty much symbolizes, what we try to do in HR. We get good people, we let them know what the expectation is as far as employment and maintaining our workplace policies. We communicate with them on a regular basis, and we motivate and reward them. And the city's in the best position possible to have a workforce that can meet organization goals and also propel the organization into the future. So with that being said, we open the floor for any questions you may have about anything that you've seen or heard this evening. We'd like to have this opportunity to present before you.
Question or comments?
Do you have like a yearly corporate compliance training, or usually you do that periodically when needed?
Well, pretty much, a lot of that time within the departments, and as far as putting together this development curriculum, we're going to address a lot of the specific needs that we have within the organization as well as that.
Any other questions?
The one challenge here is the number of part-time employees is a little more than that. Well, those guys take significant training with injuries. That's a different ballgame for us. We have to have them. That's the way we save money, guys. We need bodies at times, and that's really, really important. One thing Aaron did mention about the diversity, I will say this, is that we often talk about manufacturing going away. Frank today told me we only have 8 employees in the organization that have more than 30 years experience as we speak. We've got 300 with less than 10 years. We have a number of employees when the textiles started really cutting back in the late 80s who came to work with us in the middle of their careers. So we're seeing some employees who came at 35 and 40 and now reaching the 60 to 65 age group, which is a little different challenge than we've dealt with in the past in terms of their physical abilities. Some of us as we get older tend to have less of a physical ability than we once had. So it's a different, interesting dynamic. Another part, of course, is with the young to 20s age group. We've been told that they can change jobs 7 times in their career. So I'm not so sure what the long-term employee situation will look like. That will be interesting as we go forward in terms of recruiting. We'll see.
I think the biggest concern that one would have with some of your comments would simply be you're losing some history too. And that's very important to an organization. And I would follow up and say that I deal with Sheila probably more than anybody else in the organization. And I'll tell you, that group of people over there, they're outstanding, and I appreciate what you do for the city. They're outstanding. So. Harold.
Guys, budget time is here. I would ask you for comments here in the next few weeks. Obviously, with what you have given us direction on, that we know we got is really 4 areas that we know of. Fire Station 6 construction will begin, and then of course the funding and operation of that becomes a factor. Some money's been put aside, but that's certainly a factor. We lose 6 officers in the COPS program this year by that agreement. We have to fund those guys another year. That's 10 months of that year would be monies that we'll have to find. We've had certain conversations. Actually, we need to look at what our interest is in minimal housing, where we go forward there, and of course, public transportation, where that's going to be at, and decisions made on that. There are 4 fairly substantial areas which, through our notes, we've been made aware of, and we'll be working on. We have already begun to look at revenues. We had conversations with the state senator this week concerning the privilege license and where that may be going. That seems to not to be impacting 14-15, but the 15th of July 1-15. There will be some changes in the privilege license legislation, I can assure you, as that comes forward. And if you recall, our privilege license over the years, the council has based it on the concept of it was gross receipts, where the small business people in the community pay very little. Your big boxes pay much more. There appears to be a movement in Raleigh to change that concept.
I was going to bring this up tomorrow night, since you brought it up tonight. I met in Friday with the Metro Mayor's group, and Governor McCory spoke, and one of 3 issues, that is one of 3 issues. And if we go from $25 to a small business to $100, for example, the max was $100, up to $100 was that on the privilege tax. We're going to lose a stream of revenues that's important to this group. And what the information from that discussion with the other mayors was about property tax increase to replace that revenue stream. So it would be, I think, in our best interest to talk to Senator Gunn, Representative Ross, and Rydell about how we feel about that, and maybe we need to have a discussion about that at a work session or a council meeting about how much revenue that means to the city of Burlington, because there's only a few ways you can have revenue streams, and you know what they are, so we need to be thinking about that.
Also, Mr. Patterson and I'll be attending the next Jordan Lake Rules Minute meeting in the legislature. Patterson will be presenting in reference to what our efforts have been at this point. And I think I emailed you Friday, Mr. Lane's response to the Dieter request concerning the line break, force main break at the East Plant. That was finalized and sent in. I believe tomorrow night, if I'm not mistaken, you have an extension on the contract with the East Plant to replace the force main line on site. Also, we've got the final contract agreement to begin the final phase of the review work on the first on part of the Hog River Interceptor line. So that's will be ongoing work as we speak this spring in those 2 areas.
Any other questions for Harold?
I appreciate y'all coming out and spending the weather.
Thank you. Just want to make sure y'all drive safely home.